Welcome to another episode of So You Think You Can Math. Today's contestants are John Witt on the left and Nithish Kalpat on the right. Oh, here they go, and they're off. Their first problem of the night, and it's a little fractional expression. And see John Witt there, you know, he canceled out those W's, because you can do that, okay? And now he has 4 V's to the 6th over V to the 3rd. Now he has 4 V to the 3rd because you can cancel out those V's. Nithish, on the other hand, thinks A is part of the problem. No, A. It is A. Problem A. Problem A and problem B. And A is not part of the problem, Nithish. That's going to be a problem in his answer. I don't think he can get it right if he makes that mistake. Okay. John has now foiled out the expression. The foil means, you know, first, outside, inside, and then the 2 ending ones, the last, which means, you know, the L. So, you know, now he's foiled it out, multiplied those terms, and now he's combining them. Combine like terms. We have an x squared, 2x squared plus 1x squared is 3x squared, folks. You can do that. Okay, he is still simplifying. And he's coming up to an answer box. He circles it, and I believe that is correct. He looks strapping in that young blue t-shirt.
Contestant Witt is correct. For extra credit, please complete the problem that has just appeared on the board.
Alright, so his problem has appeared on the board. Factor this equation in all 3 ways. And now he is doing the regular factoring method, which is to find the factors of the 3rd term and make them add up to the 2nd term. Now we have completing the square. So for completing the square, you want to divide the b term by 2 and then square it, and then add that to both sides so you can factor it. Now he's using the quadratic method. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and he gets his answer for x.
After 2 rounds, John leads by 13. First problem has to do with the equations of lines. The first problem is find the slope and write an equation for both lines, and then the next one is write the equations in another form.
They're back at it, folks. And it looks like John has started out. He's going the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's how you find the slope. So, and Nithish looks like he's done the same thing. They have both moved on to the second part, part B, the second line. It looks like Nithish has either finished his lines. I'm not sure what's going on over there. John has found the slope of both lines. It looks like 1 and -1 is what he has for an answer. He's also written down the equation. You can see his equation is in point slope form. So the point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And John has found the equations for both, and he's also written down his answer. Which is neither, because for perpendicular lines you have negative reciprocal of the slope, and for parallel lines you have the same slope. So Nithish now has answers as well. Looks like he has his answers in point slope. John just finished up for part B, and he's written the equation in the y-intercept and standard form.
Now it's time for some extra credit to graph the solution.
Once you've gotten the equation in the y-intercept form, you can plug it into the y equals page on your calculator, and you get the line.
After 2 rounds, John leads by 26. Now it's time for the next problem having to do with nonlinear systems. The problem is solve the system, then put it into the calculator to check your work.
And I hear that chalk scraping. They must be going. Alright, now we have a new nonlinear system. So John has modified the equation so that y equals x plus 1. Now we will plug that in to the top equation and then factor it. And that is what he's doing. And he's got his factored terms. So now he has x equals -6 and 5. And he will go back and plug that right back in to his original equation so that he can get both answers. Because there's going to be 2, folks. Because if you have a circle and a line, they can either intersect 1, 2, or 0 times. And if the line is tangent to the circle, that's 1. And if it doesn't hit the circle, that's 0. But if it goes right through the middle or somewhere near the middle, that's going to be 2 answers. And John has found that, I think he found that there's 2 answers, and he's just circled them. Those are the 2 points in which the line intersects the circle.
Contestant Witt has won that round. Due to the mercy rule, contestant Kalpat has a chance to earn some extra credit by graphing the solution.
Okay, so basically Nithish has a circle, which is the top equation, and a line, which is the bottom equation. So for the circle, he has to isolate the y squared so that he can square root both sides and get two different equations so that he can plug into his calculator. They're both going to be semicircles that he graphs. He's also going to graph the line, and then by going to second calc intersect, he will be able to find the intersection.
Nithish is now on the board, folks, with 3 points. The next problem is having to do with linear systems, and you have to solve the system with both substitution and elimination.
And it's supper time, and I'm about to eat. Alright, now we got the elimination and the substitution of these two linear systems. John has gone with substitution first. So he's found the equation in terms of x, and he's plugged that in, got his y value. Now he's going to go plug that back in. And there's his answer, 27.5 for x, and negative 5 over 6 for y. And Nithish put his answer in fractional form, but he still has the same answer as John. And John is now finishing up the elimination part of the process, and it looks as if he is getting the same exact answer as for the substitution, which is what you want, because there's only one answer to this linear system. Nithish now has an answer too, and I think they're both right, but it looks like Nithish got it first. Oh, what? Oh my goodness, look at that slam! The form was on point!
Now it's time for some extra credit. Nithish will just be required to graph the system that he has just solved. Contestants will be required to graph their solution and put it in set notation. The other commentator is having some respiratory issues, so I am stepping in for this round. As you see, it's an absolute value inequality problem, and the absolute value inequality is pointing towards the 43, so it is a conjunction, not a disjunction. He puts the quantity of the absolute value in between the two signs, puts the opposite of 43 on the other side, subtracts 10 from all three places, and then divides by 3, and there's your answer. He has not, however, put it in set notation or has graphed the solution. It looks like Nithish over here has, and it looks like, but he's still working on set notation. As you can see, the graph has open circles because it is just an inequality and does not have a equal sign on it. And so he's putting in set notation, and it looks like he has done it, folks. Nithish has secured another victory of a round. Now we're just going to find, John is required to find 3 examples of each, his real numbers, rational numbers, integers, and irrational numbers.
So real numbers are any number that we have ever learned. Rational numbers, anything that can be expressed in a fraction, such as 3 or 3 over 5. Integers are negative or positive whole numbers, and that does not include 0. You can see 5, 6, and 7 there, he's put that down. And irrational numbers are things such as pi and square root of 2, that cannot be represented with a fraction.
Now we're up to Final Jeopardy, which could decide the game. It is a simple solving of systems.
So pretty much what's going on here is they both started out and they're both going to find the solution for the first 2 equations, which were perpendicular lines, I believe. So they're going to find the answer for that. And now John has x equals 0 and y equals 5. And you can see Nithish has y equals 5 as well, and John is going back and plugging it into each equation to see if they all intersect at that same point. He has checked them all, and now he's checking it into his calculator. Look at this determination. I don't know what he's doing with his lips. That's kind of weird. He's like kissing at it. Nithish is putting in work. He doesn't care about that calculator, and he raises his arms in triumph. It looks like he has it. And there's the graph, folks. Look at all those lines. What fun.
Those first 2 lines look like they are perpendicular, intersecting at the y-intercept of 5. Intercept is obviously where the other point equals 0, either y or x. That's how you find it. You plug in 0 for the other point. The absolute value forms in the shape of a V because it is just simply the distance from 0. That's how it's represented on a graph. The yellow line has 2 square terms, making it a circle. And the last term is a parabola because it has 1 square term, and it has symmetry regarding the y-axis because the x term is squared in it, and if you plugged in a negative there, it would not change.
Final tallies have been counted. Nithish prevailed over John with 1 point. How do you feel, Nithish?
So happy.
Here's the booklet as your prize. That's alright, you don't need that. Thank you for watching the show.
Get this drunk. Stop, I don't know.
Alright, let's set notation.
Boom. Nithish wins. Yay. John, get angry, bro.